I was just sitting in the room back there, sort of going through what I was going to do this evening, and I could just hear this sort of bubbling champagne atmosphere. I was like, wow, this is like a party. And I thought, that's actually, yes, that's what it should always be like. Every moment of our lives should be a celebration. And that's what I'm hoping that we can journey through together tonight, is just the joy of being alive. Because it really is joyful, right? So, just before we get into the nitty-gritty, I wanted to give you a shape for the evening. I'm going to start by sharing a personal story and a story of transformation, and then we're going to do some guided practical exercises together, and then we're going to have a gorgeous, lovely yoga nidra relaxation at the end, and then once I've peeled you off the ground, we'll do some questions. So how does that sound to everyone? Good? Great. And there was something else. Yes, what else did I want to mention? A quick disclaimer. Just because I'm standing here in front of you giving a talk, my life is no more sorted than anybody else's in this room. So if you want your money back, now is your chance. And this evening is really tailored. The way I've intended it, the way I've sculpted it, is for you. I want there to be moments that things resonate, things shift, and that you have an aha, awakening, or a resonating feeling with something that you're working on, because ultimately we're all working on things all the time. That's why we're here, right? Yes, a few nods. Yes, we are. We're all working on stuff all the time. So let's just journey on that together. So I wanted to start by actually breathing, just so that we all arrive here. So let's close our eyes. Roll your shoulders a couple of times. Let the weight of the day roll away. Feel your feet spreading on the floor. Check that you're breathing. Just start to inhale and exhale out of your nose. That feels good. Yeah. Beautiful. So now that we're all here, and I'm here too, I wanted to share with you a special experience that happened to me when I was in my 20s. I was in the second year of Edinburgh University, and from the outside, everything looked just right. I was at university, at a good university. I was the first person in my family to go to university. I was the eldest of 4. Neither of my parents had been, so there was this sort of pressure of like education and do the right thing. So I was ticking all those boxes, but on the inside I was completely miserable. I had changed courses about 5 times, big clue. Second clue was I had an eating disorder. I was surviving on 1 meal a day, skinny as a rake, another clue. And I was basically in tears most of the time. Maybe some people can relate to those moments in your life when everything just hangs heavy. And the weird thing is, I actually knew what my passion was. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in the performing arts. I knew I had this deep passion and dream to be in the creative world. But as I saw my dream, there was this enormous cloud of fear just hanging heavy over it. I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but this fear was filled with words like, you're not good enough, you'll always, it's full of rejection in the performing arts, you'll have to deal with being broke all the time, etc., etc., where's your plan B? I think you know where I'm going. And at the end of my second year, I basically sort of collapsed with exhaustion of fighting all the time against who I really wanted to be. And I was swimming in the sea with my best friend, and I just turned around to her and I said, I'm going to quit. I'm just going to drop out. And she was like, Roxana, what are you going to do? Come in, come in. Roxana, what are you going to do? And I said, to be honest, I don't have a plan. I've got a part-time student job in a cafe. I'm just going to make it full-time, and I'm just going to see what happens. What transpired was the most incredible, life-changing year. I had no idea what was around that corner. 2 months into working in this cafe, I get a call. I've been involved in student theatre, and we'd done like a trip out to the refugee camps in Slovenia. The Bosnian War had started, and we'd done the grim fairy tales around these camps. And it had been the one thing while I was at uni for those 2 years that felt authentic. I got a call when I was working in the cafe to come back, but to actually go into Bosnia, to a town called Tuzla, which, if any of you know the geography, is up in the north, and during the Bosnian War it was a guarded, protected UN enclave, so it was kind of safe. I went there and I worked with the National Youth Theatre there doing mass workshops for like 2 weeks. And one evening we came back, myself and a fellow theatre practitioner, we were sat in the flat and the phone rings. And it's Nigel Osborne, who some of you may know is one of Britain's most incredible composers, OBE winning, but also activist, huge heart, and was dean at the music faculty here in Edinburgh. And he said, I'm in Sarajevo, and guess what? There's going to be a 3-week ceasefire, and we're going to put on an opera, a UK Bosnian opera in the middle of this war, and we want you guys to come down and help us co-direct it with 100 children. We were like, wow, amazing. Hang on, Nigel, Sarajevo is surrounded by the Serb military, is a town, I'm sure you all remember from the news, under bombardment, not very dissimilar to Aleppo right now. We can't get in. We're right up in the north in this protected area. And he said, well, you'll figure something out. That evening we went to the bar, still discussing, oh God, it would be amazing. It would be great to go there. It would be great to work on the opera. How are we going to do it? Knocking about the drinks. Serendipity. Incredible. Just thinking about it gives me goosebumps. On the table next to us was the mayor of Tuzla, the town we were working in. We didn't know it was the mayor, but he heard about our work and he came up and said, oh, thanks so much for working with the young people in the National Theatre. I heard you've been having a great time. We're like, yeah. He's like, what's up? We're like, wow, we've been asked to go to Sarajevo. I know, crazy, right? There's a war, how would we get in there? And he's like, huh, I'm going there tomorrow morning. All the mayors of Bosnia are gathering in Sarajevo. We're getting smuggled through the tunnel. Pause. Smuggled through the tunnel. So, I didn't know this until that moment, but obviously now people have heard these stories. The only archery into this incredible city of Sarajevo that I don't know if you've visited, but you must, it's an incredible place, was this tunnel. Built through the floorboards of someone's house on the outskirts of the city, under the Serb-held airport. Medicine, food, soldiers would travel through the secret tunnel, and nobody knew its location, otherwise they would have bombed it. But the mayor says to us, back into the mayor story in the bar, he says, there's one hitch. I've only got one place in the car. Wow, okay, we're like, okay. Spent the rest of the evening. And he said, oh yeah, by the way, you've got to meet me at 5:30 in the morning outside my office. So of course we didn't get any sleep, we're chatting all evening. Who's going to go? Maybe we shouldn't split up, it's still a war zone, we shouldn't really hitch, you know. Couldn't make up our minds. So we packed our rucksacks. Both of us decided to turn up at the mayor's office. And just, whatever happens is going to happen. Now I remember that moment of walking through the Tuzla town like the back of my hand, that it was snow everywhere, it was icy on the road, and there was the moon still high up, and there was just this feeling in the air. That's all that I can describe it. That's kind of tingling, and I'm sure you've all had moments in your life when everything's just aligning and it's kind of out of your hands, but you're on this trajectory. I don't know why I was feeling that, because really it was a crazy situation, right? We get to the mayor's office. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you both came. My secretary just called me, he's sick. Roxana, you're going to walk behind me in the tunnel, you're going to pretend to be my secretary, but don't speak a word of English. 5 hours later, 2 of us UK student theatre practitioners with rucksacks full of nothing but masks in a war zone are sat inside the most beautiful, homely little suburban house with this lovely babushka type giving us a nice cup of tea, and in the middle of their living room was this dugout tunnel, soldiers moving in and out. I remember clearly this, it was all very surreal, this prosthetic limb of a leg going down, followed by, you know, oranges and bananas and soldiers, and there was just this traffic all this time through these people's house. And then before we knew it, it was our slot and we had to walk. And as we walked down the steps, I was like, I have no idea what's on the other side of that tunnel. But I had this feeling that I was meant to be there. Now, I'm not someone who is into thrillers or movies with violence or anything like that. So this should have been the most terrifying thing that I should be putting myself through. But somehow I just knew that this was the path I had to walk. So we're walking through the tunnel. You can't see anything. It's pitch black. And there's water up to your knees. There's rotting fruit, rats, and as you walked forward, you would only see the person come on the other side and when they were there. And it was 45 minutes, which felt like the longest 45 minutes of my life, getting through that tunnel and arriving in Sarajevo. And it was a little bit like, you know, the Alice in Wonderland feeling of like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to believe that I'm meant to be doing this. The next 3 weeks changed my life. We worked on this opera with these children who had suffered the most awful things. Bosnia broke my heart, cracked it wide open. There were these children standing there who'd suffered so much, and there they were opening their mouths and singing with all their heart. And the orchestra who just, you know, people had been living inside basements, some people had left, some people had been shot. They managed to compile this orchestra together, and I'll never forget the lady who played the timpani playing the percussion and drums. She was so thin, but the sound that she made from that drum was so elegant, so powerful and meaningful, and holding the whole rhythm section together. And there was so much dignity and honor in what they'd suffered, and yet they were coming through it with this opera, with this voice, with this music. And after that, I went back and I enrolled in theatre college, and once the war ended, I actually went and worked with traumatized children at the Barefoot Music Centre in Mostar. That's where I went and met my husband, and that's probably a long story told short how I've ended up here in North Berwick, right here in this moment, telling you the story. And it was one of those moments where life just took, I was in such a dark place that I knew I had to change direction. So then that led me to think, why do we often have to get sick, have a nervous breakdown, suffer depression, eating disorders, etc., 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 till we make that shift? Why can't we just be in touch with that deep body wisdom right here, right now? You know? And in many ways, I think that when I discovered yoga, I started to discover that there was a way to do that. And so much of that is wrapped up in how we connect with the present moment, which is what we're talking about tonight, right? How can we be in charge of our lives? And I think we can do that by turning up and being present. And then by taking that word charge and control out of the equation and replacing it with letting go. Not letting go and like giving up on your dreams or your projects or your passions or your deep desires. No, letting go as a sacred spiritual practice that you do daily that will make those dreams happen. And that's what we're going to guide ourselves through this evening. So I'm just going to come to the breath, first of all, and that connection with yoga. So further down the line, when I was touring with it, I got an injury to my neck, which is the way that most people come to yoga, is through a bad back or a bad neck or sore knees, they end up in a yoga class because they've been told it's good for them. And that was me, and I loved it. I loved the physical. It was amazing, and I was getting a stronger spine and a stronger neck, and I could keep getting back on stage. But then this thing that we were learning about the breath, that was incredible. Because for the first time I was learning that I could stop this crazy train of thoughts that's going on like this all day long, that's got me caught up in it all day long. And I could have a separation between myself and these thoughts, even if it was just 5 seconds. And for the sake of this evening, I'm going to call that moment a connection with our body wisdom. Some of us might call it soul, spirit, consciousness, God. For me, it's always been rooted in that word, body wisdom, and that's what I'm going to refer to tonight. So we're going to work our way through some exercises right now to do with that. So just take a moment, actually stand up, shift your energy, ground yourself through your feet, close your eyes, roll the shoulders just a couple of times forward, and then the other way. Just shake out fingers. Roll through the elbows, and then drop the head. Gently, very gently take it from side to side. And then come back down to sitting either on your chair, or you can even grab a cushion if you're one of these people who likes to sit on the floor. And we're going to do some breathing work. Yeah, the cushions are at the back, or there's some blankets as well. Yeah, and just start to make this space your own, you know. If the chair's not in the right place for you, move it around. Start to claim this moment in this time as your time. That's great. I love when people mix things up, mess it up. It's great. Break the rules. I have to stay standing, but most probably I would be sitting right now. And if you need some water or a drink, let that happen. So I would suggest not crossing your legs like that, but just sitting, yeah, like that. But if you're on the floor, you can do whatever feels comfortable. You want to feel the energy flowing through the whole body. Close your eyes. Just check. Are you still breathing? And as you breathe, as you inhale and exhale, see if you can stay with that. Just feeling yourself inhaling through the nose, and this time you're just going to exhale through the nose. So gently close your mouth and just breathe through your nose. As you breathe, take a deep body scan. Are the shoulders tense? Loosen them up. Is the pelvis tense? Release. Is the jaw tense? Let it go. Going to do a little bit of alternate nostril breathing, and then I'm going to take you through a guided piece by the Buddha on fear. So we're going to take our second and third finger of the left hand, we're going to place it in the space between the eyebrows. Close your right nostril with the fourth finger. Exhale fully out of your left. Inhale left. Close it with the thumb. Exhale right. Inhale right. Close it. Exhale left. opposite, exhale right. Couple more rounds just in your own rhythm. Once you've done your rounds, just observe your breath, release the hand. Stay focused inside to your inner body wisdom. And I'm going to talk you through a beautiful Buddhist meditation on fear. Because it's often something that comes up and gets in the way of us really going for our dreams and feeling love in the present moment. This is how we deal with fear. So just sit. Notice where you feel hard and sit with that. In the middle of that hardness, you will find anger. Sit with that. Go to the center of the anger, and you'll probably come to sadness. Stay with the sadness until it turns to vulnerability. Keep sitting with what comes up. The deeper you dig, the more tender you become. Raw fear can open into the wide expanse of genuineness, compassion, gratitude, and acceptance in this present moment. A tender heart appears naturally when you're able to stay present. From your heart, you can see the true colour of the sky. You can see the vibrant yellow of the sunflower. A tender heart doesn't block out rain clouds or tears or dying sunflowers. Allow both beauty and sadness to touch you. This is love, not fear. So that's the other side of what comes up when we sit and we are present, is that all that stuff we've been pushing away, that we don't want to deal with, that we want to run away from, whether we run away from it by getting more busy, by getting addicted to something, by checking our phones a million times a day, guilty. When we sit with ourselves, stuff comes up. So we have to be brave enough just to sit with can you feel that the energy of the room has changed? You are letting go of things by giving yourself less than 3 minutes, that was. Imagine how much more you could let go of and be present. And feel that connection to love, your body wisdom, all the time. So life wouldn't feel so heavy. Because it can feel really heavy, right? Yeah. Especially when what you want to do and dream of and are passionate about feels like so far away. You can bring it into the now just by focusing on your breath and seeing what comes up and being brave enough to sit with it. Inhaling and exhaling with it until it's ready to leave. And sometimes it really brings the tears out. Do you know that's great? Because every time you cry, you're letting it go. Yeah, it's great. It's really great and it's really brave. I was just going to tell you a story about negative thinking, which is like an example that's really helped me a lot. Because I don't know about you, but there's like the same train going around my head most of the day. And it's generally the same kind of thoughts. And they're generally around, you're not good enough, or you can't do that, or who do you think you are, everyone's going to laugh at you, that kind of stuff. Right? Anyone relate to that? I'm all alone. Great. I heard this analogy about negative thinking and it just clicked for me, so I'm going to share it with you in the hope that it clicks with you too. Imagine all of us here are sitting on a pavement, right? As you do, in a warm country, and watching the cars go by. And I remember doing this with my kids, that thing of like, count the number of red cars, count the number of blue cars, yellow cars, white cars. So we're all sitting on the pavement and we're waiting for the one red car, okay? Now there's a guy in our group, let's give him a name, someone just throw me a name.
John.
John, great. There's no Johns in the room, are there? Great. So this imaginary John, thank you Flynn, is sat there. Now his is the red car, right? When that red car comes though, he doesn't just count it, he jumps. He grabs the back of the bumper and he's holding on for dear life. And we're like, oh my God, John, that's really enthusiastic. But he carries on, he's holding on, and the car's going faster and faster. John's clothes are starting to rip off his body. He is in pain. He's looking at us like, help me, what do I do? And to the point where the car goes so fast now that his trousers have ripped up and the gravel and the road is making him bleed. And he's like, guys, what can I do? What can I do? What are we going to say to him? That's it. These negative thoughts, they really destroy us. They hurt us. We hold on to them. We all do it. We just got to let go. I remember when I heard that, I was like, oh man, I've been holding on to the red car. I just got to let go. Just for the record, I don't actually drive, so so that kind of segues into that concept of letting go. Because we can say it a million times, yeah, John, just let go. You're crazy. Why are you holding on? That thing is hurting you. But to do it ourselves, hard. I think it's really hard. And this is where I've discovered this incredible gift that yoga has within it, which is called a yoga nidra, which is a guided, some of you know already, it's like a guided body relaxation, but when it's done properly with the sankalpa, which I'll talk you through in a minute, it's actually a process of letting go while also affirming the things that you want to bring into your life. So as you let go, what do you create? What do we create when we let go? Space. Space. And we need space to be able to manifest the things that we really want to be doing. So I think just before we move to the next section, I think it's not a bad idea just to take a moment to jot on the back of these postcards I've put out, if you've got a pencil or a pen, just randomly, I'm going to time it and it's going to be like 2 minutes, as fast as you can, things that you can let go of. Can be objects, can be emotions, can be people, can be the red car, whatever the red car is for you. I'm going to borrow Bernie's watch. Can I borrow your watch, Bernie?
Yes.
And then I'm going to time like a little time, and then don't start writing yet. Okay. Or if you have, don't worry about it, just pause. The idea is to have some sort of momentum behind us. Okay, you got spirit. That's very good. Okay, so I'm going to take it from the second. I think. Are you done?
We're shooting ahead.
Okay, that's fine. You can just meditate on all the things you're going to let go of. Okay. Are we all got a pen? We're writing down. You're writing down all the things that you can let go of. If there's nothing you need to let go of, you can go home. My job's done. Early. You can head to the pubs. No, but seriously, if it's hard, start with objects, because there's always a ton of stuff we can let go of in terms of objects. How can you create more space in your life right now? Start with the object, move to the emotion or people. You know, just on your marks, get set, go. You've got a minute. Don't think. It can be a negative thought as well that carries on and on every day, or a few of them. Got 30 seconds left. Last 5 seconds. And stop. So even just in 1 minute, there's a lot we can let go of. Just take that away with you and maybe make it something that comes into your daily ritual or weekly ritual. Making that list, but then what's the hardest thing about a list? Exactly, doing it. Doing anything that's on that list. So don't try and set yourself a huge target. Even if you just manage one of those things a week, you're going to make massive space and things are going to start manifesting much faster than you've ever imagined. We have to let go. And guess what? It's autumn. So every time you walk through the lodge or through a park and you look at the trees, they are letting go of their leaves, which is such a beautiful meditation. I mean, I think somebody thought I was bonkers because I was stood for ages. I was like, I'm going to hang with this tree, which is already, you know, but we're all like that, so that's fine. I'm just going to hang with this tree, and I'm going to wait for the leaf to drop, because when it drops, I'm going to let go of something heavy. I was like, man, this tree is not letting go. This tree is stubborn. This tree is hardcore. was talking about myself, because I had set myself this huge thing that I wanted to let go of, and it just wasn't happening until I was ready. And then when it did drop, it was a good moment. Though by then I'm sure I had a small crowd. But try it. Use the leaves to help you move through this list. You know, use nature. Well, we are nature, right? But connect with nature for these processes of letting go. And autumn, and it's interesting, Bernie, isn't it? We were going to have this talk in June. But it was the referendum. And so we decided to reschedule it. And I was like, that's why. We had to wait for the leaves to fall. And I did actually have an exercise I wanted to do with leaves with you this evening, but they were all wet and soggy. And I was going to get you to like meditate on a leaf, and I was like, they ain't going to get anything out of this exercise. So, on that note, just before we take a nice deep yoga nidra, I thought I'd just read you a couple of beautiful quotes that inspire me, that you might get inspired by too. I'm a massive fan of Rumi, and in Iran, which is where I'm from originally, we call him Maulana, and he's a Sufi poet. And if you haven't ever read any Rumi, really just go and seek it out, because it's just wonderful stuff. Now is where love breathes. That was just beautiful. The soul lives there in the silent breath. And they were writing this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago. So they were still working out the same, holding on to the red thing, the train. We're still working on it, right? So if these quotes help you, I'm going to read one from the Buddha that really helps me here. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we create the world. No pressure. So, on that thought, on that note, let's clear away the chairs. There's some yoga mats outside if you want that to lie on. Otherwise, grab a blanket, wrap up, and I'm going to talk you through a yoga nidra.